Sometimes you just need to take the slips out and bowl defensively. And you also need to be careful with your computer's defense as well. If you need a VPN, go Nord. NordVPN.com/Kimber to get a 2-year contract with a discount, plus 4 extra months and gifts in some markets. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the show notes. So put in some dot balls and turn them into maidens via NordVPN.com/Kimber. And welcome to the Scoreboard. I'm Jared Kimber, and woo! The Mumbai chase train stopped today. In fact, with Rohit, you could say it kind of ran out of steam. Let's go back to the start. Of course, CSK did very well, getting over 200 with Shivam Dubey playing a weird innings where decided to stop hitting sixes, and Gaikwad being kind of that fast-scoring anchor he does at his absolute best. They made a mistake by sending Mitchell in, which looked way sillier when MS Dhoni hit a bunch of sixes at the end. However, the important thing is that ball got changed, and I really think this was a game when once the ball got soft, it was very hard to hit boundaries, and getting a hard ball and MS Dhoni together in that form was not ideal. But Mumbai was on top of their chase early on and stayed there for a very long time. But sadly, 3 key things happened to them. Rohit got tired, Hardik came out to bat before Tim David, and then dotted up, and of course, the ball got soft. They really should have tried to change their ball as well, and in the end, they didn't get all that close, which is really disappointing from where they were. While Rohit got tired, he made his 100 from 60 balls, and if your opener does that, you should probably chase 206, right? And it is worth pointing out that I thought CSK played this game very well. Outside of the Daryl Mitchell thing, I think they got a lot of things right. And also, Patharana was fantastic. And while he can always be that good, he usually bowls a few balls that go and then he can get on a bad sort of trajectory. There were almost no bad balls today. In fact, one of the boundaries that was hit off him was from one of his best balls. In the other game, Lucknow got caught in their first innings and never really got going, did they? It's worth pointing out that Narayan did very well, and then Mitchell Starc had a good day. Very promising for them looking ahead. I don't know what to say about the chase because I thought KKR were incredibly lucky, well, from the very start, when Shamar Joseph started poorly and then pulled it back to bowl a really good first over, except for the fact that the last ball was a free hit, which he rebowled 17 times. How awesome was it to see that many kinds of extras in one ball? What about Phil Saltz? He had the cheekiest, the sleaziest 89 I have seen in a long time in what was an easy chase, but realistically still felt like it could combust at any time. But they went for it, KKR. It was 100% my kind of cricket. All right, if you want to ask a question, head over to the comments and ask a question there. And if you're desperate to ask a question, then Super Chat is always your best option. But let's start with the scoreboard part of the show. This is Mumbai Indians runs per over by phase today. We'll get here, but 10 runs and over, they started really well. 9 runs and over from 7-11 was absolutely perfect. But from 12 to 16 to go at less than a run a ball is incredible. And, you know, I can go on about the fact that the ball got a little bit soft. They still managed to score at two runs a ball, although some of that was sort of late in the game when the sting was out of it a little bit. But this is definitely the period that, you know, Rohit got really tired in here. Tilak went out and Hardik came out when it didn't make any sense for Hardik to come out and bat at that stage. Mumbai's batter strike rates today, you can see that Rohit was at 166, which is pretty much on par for the game. Ishan Kishan 153 and Tilak Varma was 155. So they had 3 guys going at pretty much par. Probably in a chase like this, you want one guy to go a little bit quicker. And it was the fact that none of these 3, Rohit got tired and that slowed him out. Ishan Kishan and Tilak both went out. Tilak's got a bit of an issue of going out, you know, that sort of 15 to 25 to 30 mark when he's completely on top. And we were on Cricket 8 and we pretty much all called that he was about to go out at that point. This is Rohit's strike rate by phase. You can see completely par. He did fantastic in here. He got this. I just sort of got tired. And he picked it up at the end, but a lot of that was very, very late when the game was already gone. He never in this, from the 12th over onwards, looked like he was going to be the person to be able to win it for them. But he allowed for all the other hitters to come in, and he'd given them such a cushion and had them ahead of the rate, or at the rates required for such a long time. This is his 5-rate strike ball in 5-ball intervals. So, you could see started quite slow, but this period here from 20 to 35 was fantastic. You could see that I'm trying to see if this is rolling or just his strike rate after 5 balls. I'm not 100% sure which one this is. That period when he really started to slow down, I wonder how much of that also was he wasn't getting as much strike at times. There felt like a period where he hadn't hit a boundary for a while, but he hadn't faced. And sometimes that can be the worst thing, but you can see he certainly didn't kick on the way that he was supposed to. Rohit's true values in the power play since 2019. You can see this is just a year that we've never seen anything before. He's always been negative in one part or the other, and last year was dreadful, right? He didn't make a lot of runs. He had a true strike rate that was -5 and a true average of -15. And you can see where he normally clumps. This is where he should be, right? And he might be beyond that. I don't even care if he's down here. But what's the point of having a man who can hit sixes as easily as he can attack pace and spin if he's going to be around here? I've never understood the idea of him being slightly above par and strike rate without scoring all that many runs. He might as well be up here. No, I'm in the wrong place. Where do I want? He might as well be here, right? And if he can get to anywhere around here, that's still a huge bonus, I think, for them. Especially the way they play. It may not matter, of course, because they are, 2 and 4 now. Ishan Kishan's true values in the power play. We could see that he's having a plus year as well. I thought he did really well today and attacked what he needed to. Let's have a look at the CSK bowlers. Mustafiza went for runs today, which is quite interesting. Jadeja, this is the point I thought that Mumbai were ahead. And I thought they had a real good chance of winning there. Because they attacked that last over and did well. Thakur could have been the reason they lost the game today. And in the end, he played a big part in why they won it. Deshpande, no one can hit him. What's going on? I absolutely love this. This is a wild turnaround from Deshpande. And then you've got this man who I thought was absolutely fantastic today. And I think some of his runs came at the end when the game didn't matter all that much. This is his true values at the death. We could see that he had ridiculous numbers beforehand at the death. 18 wickets, 2 runs and over better than everyone else, and still taking a wicket more. We're not going to expect that to be consistent, but if he keeps bowling like he did today, those numbers will go a lot closer. But I thought he was absolutely fantastic. But let's have a look at Deshpande, who in the power play, we could see he's a negative. He's getting less wickets than you would expect. And then in the death, he gets less wickets than you would expect. The problem at the death is he goes at 2 runs and over more than a normal bowler bowling those overs. But interesting enough, 12 to 16, he's okay. What's this on? He's plus 2.5 runs and over in that point and an above wicket taker. If only he could bowl all 4 of his overs there. But the thing about a graph like this is I think you'd almost have to look at him from year to year because I do think he's changed so much as a cricketer. Let's have a look at CSK's batting. You can see they had a proper sort of CSK way about them. They sent Rahane up. That didn't really work. Ravindra never really got going. The 2 guys who were set in here scoring at 9 runs and over in this period was really good. They upped that to 2 runs a ball, and then that ball getting changed at the end really helped when I thought they were struggling with sending Daryl Mitchell in and MS Dhoni smashing it perfectly. This does look a little bit ridiculous, this graphic, of course. But Ratchan still did his job at 131. If that's when he's failing, it's not the end of the world. But Gaikwad and Dubé, I thought, were great. The only thing with Dubé is I wondered if he got a little bit tired as well, like Rohit did, because I kind of expected a lot more sixes and power to come at the end. But this man made up for that, so it wasn't as much of an issue. This is MS Dhoni's true values at the death overs so far by years. So in 2024, that's excluding today, But you can see he's still averaging quite good, and he's slightly down on strike rate. So he'll go back over here somewhere on strike rate after that one today. But you see, his problem isn't the death. It's usually the overs before that he can slow down. But he's pretty much a positive in every year except for 2020 and 2021. It's slightly down on average, but his true strike rate was ridiculous that year. So I wouldn't count that as a negative in the death. Those last 4 overs, he's absolutely magnificent. It really is quite often in the old days when he had to come in earlier than that caused them some problem or caused him some problems. Mohammad Nabi today absolutely burgled his wickets. Considering Mumbai's bowling is not particularly strong, I think it's a real shame that they had very good bowling from Nabi today and it still went wrong. I didn't think Pandya ended up bowling 3 overs. After the first over, I was like, there's no way they can bowl him again. I didn't look up to it. The problem was that they couldn't bowl Shreyas after his over because Shivan Dubey never went out. Madwal didn't bowl particularly well, and Shepherd was probably, I think all things considered, about the same as Pandya. He's gone for a couple of runs more in his overs, but they really struggled with this. But on a day when you got an absolute bonus, it's really, really terrible. And then we've got here, this is the true values for fast bowlers, 1,000 balls. So you can see this is the history of IPL at this stage. This is Malinga, 170 wickets. He was worth 1.1 runs and over better than everyone else. You've got Rabada as the best strike bowler we've ever seen, even when factored in for when he bowls, right? And you've got Praveen Kumar, who I love that Praveen Kumar is always on this, who didn't take any wickets down here. And then, so that best strike bowler. And you got Andre Russell, which is absolutely fine from where he is. And you got Mustafiza, who struggles with wickets, but is very good on true economy. Bumrah, about par on wickets. He's 5-1 to be the leading wicket taker in the IPL at the moment on most bookmakers. He's not going to be the leading wicket taker. But he is 1.5 runs and over better than anyone else in the overs he bowls. That's career. This is his true economy strike ball, true economy rate by overs. So higher is better. You can see that he is early on 3.6 runs and over better when he bowls his first over than anyone else. And by the death, it's come back a little bit here to 2.71. This was excluding today. It'll be interesting to see where that is. So this year he's been better at the top than he has been. I didn't think he bowled a particularly good over at the top today, actually, but all these numbers are bonkers, if we're being honest. He might be having an all-timer season for an all-timer. And doesn't surprise me. Lucknow. Let's get on to the other game. We can see here, this is a little bit of Pooran at the end. This is probably the bit that did them in. Pooran just couldn't quite hit top-level sort of Pooran. He was trying to hit to the leg side. I think today's a perfect example of where Hetmeyer's a slightly more rounded hitter at the end, and he would have hit over the offside a little bit more. I think that's what Pooran had to do. They got stuck here, but to be honest, they just lost too many wickets, and they lost their momentum fairly early on because of that. And you can see that I thought KL's intent was really good today. Sadly for him, he didn't get to kick on. Badoni, they just got runs out of him down the order. Why was he back up the order? I think with someone like Marcus Stoinis, I think Marcus Stoinis' main skill is utility. He can open, he can bat at number 7, and he can bat pretty much every position in between that when you need him in certain situations. Why not give Badoni a role for the rest of the year, and then next year you start to work on him trying other things? He just got a little bit lost in that one, and their innings just never really went anywhere, did it? This is KL Roll's true values. So you can see here on true strike rate, he's had some absolute shockers. Forget about this one, but 2022, he was 20 down on true strike rate. 2014, he will have kicked that up more towards par today. But you can see almost every year, except for the 2 years when he didn't really play all that much, he's averaging more than you would expect and striking at a rate that you would expect, except for those great seasons of which I've missed. This is an interesting one, actually, because that was Kings. This one would have been early Kings, and this is the RCB one that I thought was quite interesting. Anyway, Pooran's true values by phase this season. we can see that coming into today, he's got a run scored of 83 and a true average of a plus 50, but slightly down on par at the end there. He'll kick that into here, but he'll kick it in down here because he'll go out a little bit more. So at the moment, he's not getting dismissed at all at the death. That's not going to stick around, although he did it again today, so it might even be higher now. We could see in here, this is when I think he eats. Less so in this game, of course, but true strike rate of plus 42, and he's also got a 54 average. And this is the bit you don't really want Pooran in as much for unless there's a tactical reason. And just on the bowlers today, I thought Narayan was absolutely fantastic, really slowed them down. But this is the more important one for them, and this is not far off either. Kolkata should win games when these three guys are going at under 8 runs and over. Rest of the bowling did get a little bit more tap, although Harshit was okay. But if they can control this and they can bat at a really good strike rate, that's a huge advantage for them. I'm still not sold. I think I think Rajasthan and Chennai are favourites at 460 to win the whole thing, and I believe you can get KKR at 5s. I'm not buying that at the moment, but after another big win, I can see where they are. You can see here, this is Narayan today. He was 5 runs and over less than what we would expect from his first over. And by his last over, he was 4 runs and over less than what we would expect. And before today, you can see he'd been hit a little bit in the power play earlier this season and then been okay and bowled quite well towards the death. So this was way under what he'd been doing so far this year. And this is his true economy rate on the ball. That was his economy rate, not his true economy rate. Although, Jesus. So that is 5, 4.5. Oh, yeah, okay, so that makes sense. So I'll work it out eventually. And this is it on true economy for the season. So you see his first over's been about a run and over less than everyone else's. His second over, about, 2/3 of a run better. And then he's been struggling towards the back end. So he certainly didn't have that problem today. So that will even out a little bit, that graphic. And this is true values for spinners with 50 wickets. So we showed you Bumrah before. So Narayan, 167 wickets. His true economy is almost a run and over better than everyone else. And he's down on wickets, but he's become a very defensive bowler over the years, and that's his main skill. You can see here, Rashid Khan's got a very similar rate, but takes wickets above. And you got Pandya, who struggled a little bit in this game, only bowled the one over, I think, in the end. But again, a very good defensive bowler. And we've got Salt. So in the SA20, Salt had a true strike rate of plus 12, but was just below par. You can see 0 up here, so just below par on average. Before today, he'd been struggling a little bit. This is the kind of innings that might kickstart his tournament, because I don't think he batted particularly well and could have gone out 73 times. But you get runs in the board, you win a game, these things can really pump you up. And we could see they went absolutely ballistic. If you're listening in on cricket8.com, where we do our live watch along, we were just saying bet overs, bet overs, bet overs. They were just going to keep going and keep going. And they did that very dramatically. KKR batters strike rate today. Salt went at 189 and I went at 100. Ayer's innings, my God, I could write like a 5,000 word article about Ayer's innings. It was so weird all the way through, and he's ended up at a runner ball. Anyway, that's the end of the scoreboard part of the show. We'll get on to the questions from the room, but let's have a quick break, and we'll be back in a couple of moments with more chat on the scoreboard. I'm Jared Kimber, and if you're desperate for a question, Super Chat is always the way to go, but anything you want to put in the comments, feel free. Sometimes you just need to take the slips out and bowl defensively. And you also need to be careful with your computer's defense as well. If you need a VPN, go Nord. NordVPN.com/Kimber to get a 2-year contract with a discount, plus 4 extra months and gifts in some markets. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the show notes. So put in some dot balls and turn them into maidens via NordVPN.com/Kimber. If you make any content, Minvo Pro is the tool for you. Take your long format content and cut it and slice it for social media. This AI-inspired weapon will turn your one piece of work into so many clips.
Try Minvo.pro now.
All right, welcome back. Let's have a look here at Box, who says Jimenez shed dot ball percentage doesn't reveal anything meaningful. Oh, wait, gone to the wrong one. Oh, yeah, no, I've got it. Jimenez said dot ball percentage doesn't reveal anything meaningful about the game, but teams use wide reviews, even in the second over, so they think dots are important. How important are dots in your opinion? No, well, it tells you how players play. I don't know what he means. I don't know what context Jimenez is using there. It tells you about different profiles of players. Dot balls for some players are incredibly important, and dot balls for other players are not important at all. So Puran and Andre Russell, dot balls not particularly important. Shivan Dubé, no, it's not Shivan Dubé. Shivan Hetmai is another one. No, Tim David, sorry, might be another one. So there's a few players where dot balls don't matter all that much. There are other players where high dot ball percentage can mean a lot. Dot balls early on don't mean anything, but if you think that you've got a chance of getting an extra run, also, if a bowler gets away with one that's wide, they feel a little bit more confident if you take it away from them, especially if you're positive it was a wide and the umpire made a mistake. So yeah, it's impossible for me to be able to say that in that context. There are certain parts where dot balls don't mean all that much, but if you've got reviews at a certain point and you can use them, or you're positive you're going to get something overturned, I think players are still going to use it even for small gains. ABCD comes in with a super chat. Thank you very much. Hayden Mongoose Bat. The problem with the Mongoose Bat was that bowlers bowl short. And that extra, the lack of wood. I remember talking to Stuart Law, who I think was one of the other players who used it. And he said the minute the ball was dug in, he felt like he didn't have any protection. And that's the main reason the Mongoose Bat disappeared, if we're being honest. There was another bat, I think, called the Joker, which was a little bit more between a normal bat and a Mongoose Bat. I thought that was the one that might take off, but it hasn't. Partharana struggling in international cricket. I never worry about things like that. And the reason is that it's usually small sample size. And it's very rare, and even if it isn't small sample size, he's played 6 T20 games, and he's got an average of 17 in them. So he's gone for runs, but he's still taking wickets. So I've got absolutely no problem with him in international cricket at all. Thank you for the super chat, though, ABCD. Oh, wait, there's another one here. I've missed it. PayPal says, saw the KKR match, watched along on Cricket 8. A strange game. I thought the bowling improved. Can they be a plus side at it? Thoughts on the batting unit? No, I did think, as I said, I thought their three main bowlers were good, and I've been saying for a long time that they need at least two of Narayan and Stark to do well. So you have three guys do well, and I think that's a plus, and you would certainly take that. Whether it's ever going to be a plus overall, probably not. But there will be certain games when it can come together, and yeah, one of the things is that Chakravarti and Narayan / Andre Russell have to get wickets. And the reason they have to get wickets is because Mitchell Stark bowling to numbers 5, 6, 7 is very different than Mitchell Stark bowling to numbers 1, 2, 3 in the death. He can absolutely run through teams at the tail, whereas if he's bowling to set players, I just don't think he has the game that he used to have to be able to do that. And we saw when he got to the tail today, he still looked like Mitchell Stark. Mitchell Stark, the version we have now is not the version that they've paid all this money for. And that's fine. Too late now. You spent your money. But in order to make him very efficient, he has to be going up against players who don't like high pace, players who don't like bounce, and players who struggle at the death to be able to hit bowlers like him. If he gets those sorts of conditions, he'll be fine. If he's bowling to Sky or Hardik or those sorts of players, he's going to go. And that's the problem at the moment. He's not quite fully put together. Darshan says, was we Cricket 8 the entire match today? Crazy how accurate the bookies are. Well, the bookies aren't accurate. In fact, the bookies are probably where you should be laying your money. The thing that's really accurate is the hive mind. It's the Betfair exchange that's incredibly accurate and gets things very, very right. There's a couple of times today when it was wrong, and it didn't have any idea what to do with the CSK Mumbai game, if we're being honest, for a long period of time. But yeah, obviously Rob, as a trader, is very, very good and very experienced and has made a lot of money betting on cricket over a long period of time, and now helps companies come up with their odds and everything else. But the actual bookies make lots and lots of mistakes. Like, for instance, Partharana being 4-1 today was probably a fairly bad bet because that's a ground where you're going to try and hit a lot of sixes, and he's an attacking bowler who's hard to hit sixes off. So sometimes it's as simple as that, and being able to look for all that. But yeah, cricket8.com. There's podcasts, there's video, there's live watch-alongs. We'll be back on next Sunday. Nikesh and Mega are over there, so and plenty of articles as well. Blah Blah says, just saw the longest IPL innings video. I feel KL and Virat might have played a lot of low-scoring chases where their job was to go or run a ball. Can you share their true strike rate when batting first? We can certainly have a look at that further. They're probably the only ones we can because they've had so many. I think you'll find they're probably still going to be in situations where they're going to be under par. I don't think there's going to be an innings where those two players are going to be massively above par because of the way they play. I don't think their first innings and second innings structure is going to be that different. It might be that the amount of innings they've played makes it very, very hard. But the truth is, we know that they're not above par scorers when it comes to true strike rate. And that is, I think that would be very hard to argue from anyone. Let me just go back and see if there's anything else in the chat. Natesh says... Oh no, I've completely lost this. Harsh says, where's Harsh? What jersey are you wearing? This is a Cricket 8 jersey. So we wear these when we're broadcasting on Cricket 8. So we're on cricket8.com all day today. So shouting out the people who support this video as well. So they're our partners with us. Natesh says, disappointed Mumbai fan here. Do you think they can salvage something from this season now? No, I don't think so. I wasn't in on them anyway. I don't feel any more confident with them now than I did beforehand. Jared, you've always been Keshav here. Jared, you've always been quite against the concept of momentum in cricket. How would you assess Dhoni's 20-4 in terms of how the two teams felt at halfway? Well, here's a perfect example of why momentum at cricket is terrible. They were losing momentum before he hit those runs. Have you forgotten, Keshav? And then afterwards, Mumbai came out and they smashed it everywhere and got massively in front of the game. So if you're using this to prove that momentum is right, you've actually proved the exact opposite by picking this. The momentum was with Mumbai when they were bowling. And then when Mumbai went out to bat, other than those couple of balls, the momentum was back with Mumbai when they were batting. Right? So I don't. This is why it's a nonsense thing. It's about confidence. But Dhoni can't go out and bowl for them. Right? There are times at which what you think you saw as momentum here, you didn't see as momentum. What you saw is Mumbai thought they were going to get them around 188 to 195 for a little while. And Dhoni blitzed through that. That's what you saw. That's a big difference. Because an extra 10 runs, which is essentially what Dhoni gave them, changes the win probabilities quite a bit. That's not momentum. That's cricket. Michael says, is Mitchell good or not? Moeen seems like a better option given his bowling, a higher strike rate after over 13. I like Mitchell. That's not when you use him. If you're going to use Mitchell, you have to be pretty confident he's going to be able to go after the spinners between overs 8 and 12. And he has to be in quite early. People like Daryl Mitchell and Marcus Stoinis can hit you 3 sixes and over for consistent overs, right? But they can't do it until they've been in for 12 to 15 balls. And I think that's the issue with those kinds of players. But if that's the case, why would you send him in there? We were all on the broadcast saying that either Samir or MS Dhoni had to come in, right? Everyone on Cricket 8 was very, very clear that that was a mistake. The same as we thought it was a mistake when Hardik came in over Tim David, right? You only have one batting lineup. You have to maximize that batting lineup as best you can. But yeah, that is it for me from today. Oh wait, I just talked about Hardik, so that doesn't really matter. That's it from me today. Thank you everyone for your support. We will be back for another scoreboard on Wednesday, and then we'll be back to Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think we'll go back to our normal pattern from then on in. But look, these shows are doing really, really well. And thank you to the super chats, but thank you to everyone in the comments. I see Varun in there as well. And quite obviously Varun works for us. So, but he was there beforehand. A22 and Pravin was in there as well. But everyone for Rupesh, I can see. Thanks so much to all the support and everything else. But we'll be back very soon. Tomorrow we've got a live show with Bayram. So different kind of show, but we'll be talking a lot about the IPL, but a few other international cricket stories and everything else that's going on as well. And we'll have the power list up. Isn't that exciting? Anyway, I'm Jared Kimber. This is the Scoreboard, and we will see you again very, very soon here on Good Areas.
If you have always wanted to turn your passion for sports into a career, well, I have the course for you. Fans with Laptops is the multimedia course that I came up with after millions of reads, views, and listens to all my work. It's designed for anyone to use their own fandom to get better at making content on the sport they love. Go to Fans with Laptops today. If me talking live about cricket is not enough, we also have an entire channel dedicated to the best stories in cricket called Good Areas. Find out what matchups really mean, understand the logic behind baseball, and look at the most important selection in the history of cricket of Basil D'Oliveira. Come and visit us a couple of times a week on the Good Areas channel for a new video.